Good morning, Bardstown and Nelson County, and welcome to Bradford and Brooks. Jim Brooks and Margie Bradford with you this beautiful Wednesday morning in downtown Bardstown. And I told Margie before we came on the air, this is one of those days when I'd like to have a couple of 100-foot microphone extension cords, and we could drag the equipment out to the sidewalk. Margie, I think it's a beautiful day out there.
It is a beautiful day.
And it's the end of February.
It is, and I don't have to try to look out for ice spots anymore to keep from conking myself. And and I found a good parking spot today with no problem. I didn't have to circle the block. I mean, all systems are just on go now today.
Well, and I didn't have to find my the cleats I put on my shoes for ice. So that all adds up to a great day.
Yeah, well, it does, and thank goodness we don't have to get out and either wade through the snow or skate over your sidewalk.
And of course, with all the rain and the snow, out in rural Nelson County, you have to deal with mud. It's like the beautiful yard I had in the summer is now very soft and muddy.
Right. At least we didn't have to have the issues that so many people in Kentucky had. I think one time there were like 300 roads that were impassable.
Right, due to water or sometimes mud.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Margie, it's good to have you here today and not on the telephone. Though that was a first for us, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was kind of nice. I could sit at my kitchen table and
drink your coffee.
Drink my coffee and wear my pajamas and didn't even have to comb my hair. It was kind of fun.
Well, in the future, if we need to do that, we know how to do it.
Well, that's right.
All right.
It's that driveway of mine. I mean, it's you're taking your life in your hands to come on that driveway, and when it's snowy and icy.
Well,
because it curves and it's going downhill, which means you got to go uphill coming back out.
It's certainly a warm weather driveway.
It is. It is.
Margie, I'll let you introduce our very special studio guest that we're tickled to death to have because of a special event happening later today. And I know there's been lots of preparations going on, and it's such a huge moment for the Bardstown City School systems. It's I can't imagine you're not busting with pride.
I'm popping my buttons. We're privileged to have with us today Bardstown Schools Superintendent Ryan Clark, and he's here to talk about this wonderful Bardstown Polytechnic Center and all of the good things that are there for students to further their education and prepare them for the workplace.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on, and you said it, today is a really exciting day. At 5 p.m. Today, we're going to open the front doors of the Bardstown Polytechnic Center, and we'll start a program at about 5:15. Lots of great things planned during that time, and then we'll conclude with a ribbon cutting. So it should be a tremendous event. I'm so proud of my staff that have worked so very hard. Anybody that's ever put something like this together understands the amount of work and detail that you think about that probably nobody else notices, which is the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
So I'm just really proud of folks and how hard they've worked.
Well, now students have already been working in this. This is just a formal opening, but this is already a work in progress.
That's correct. So we've had students in this space for a few months now, and it's been tremendous to see our high school students in this space. You know, we offered many of the pathways that I'll talk more about, but many of these pathways were in our high school, in classroom spaces that are typically not large enough, and you don't have the the
For practical
equipment.
applications.
Correct. So to have those instructors now move into spaces that have been designed just for their content, and I've seen students just so proud and excited to be in those spaces. It's tremendous.
Well, it's going to be very advantageous for not only the students for future employment, but for employers.
Yes.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
Our station owner has Ross Stratton just told me this morning that there were a couple of Bardstown High School students who have sent given him their resume, and they're being considered for employment at a future date.
That makes me really proud. You share that with me, and one of the elements, pieces that we have in our Polytechnic Center is a media arts program. So professional grade studio, kids learn how to operate, really state of the art, cutting edge equipment, and they're so proficient. I mean, I've recorded a few pieces in this studio that I've sent out to staff. And the students know exactly what to do. If you encounter a problem, they know how to troubleshoot that problem and resolve it. It really is a unique opportunity. And if folks are able to come tonight, and of course any employers out there that talk to our kids, I think you'll see that. But kids will talk about, and there'll be examples of the things that they've learned already in just a few months.
Well, there's really, and I'm looking at the card here, there's really a wide range that said that the career pathways are business, construction, culinary arts, engineering, health sciences, and the media arts.
Yes.
So that about covers the waterfront.
Yeah, and the one that we'll be adding at some point, it will come down to budgets and so forth, is IT, instructional technology, or just students learning about technology, whether that be how to network, cybersecurity, things like that. We've talked about all those and have the space to be able to support that effort in this. So that's coming. Just don't know exactly when, but we're always trying to think ahead.
Well, I think here in Nelson County, and I don't know if it's still accurate to call this vocational training or not. I'm probably not the current word for it, but here in Nelson County, we've got the opening of the Polytechnic Center,
Yes.
and then of course the big project out at in the county high school system. The
Yes.
ATC is now going to be the Up Center.
Yes.
And it's just a huge boost. I would say a lot of our employers, especially those who as you mentioned, are wanting employees with some technical background.
Yes.
They have to be shouting for joy because, and it's a tight employment market. And especially if you can find an employee, potential employees who have some sort of technical background or in whatever field that will help them, get a running start. On the job training is fine, but if you have somebody who's got a leg up, it makes them a great candidate. And we've got a lot of different industry here, a lot of different needs, and anything we can do to groom our young people for a career path. That's amazing. And I've told Margie this. I kind of wish I was 14 again and going to have these same opportunities. Because and that our kids have and will continue to have.
Yes. As we're working through this and the vision of creating more and more meaningful opportunities for students, and I've talked about before what I see as a real balance in the world of education in terms of providing just a wide range of opportunities for kids, whether it be AP coursework or dual credit that's for our students that's preparing for four-year college.
Sure.
Or technical school where they might go on to a four-year degree or they might just go on to a trade school. I think we have more balance than ever, and I'm really proud of that. And I think about what what a student, when you say being 14 years old again, I try to think about that too. And what I see is kids are getting exposed to things, and they really are finding some passion or an interest in areas. They might even also experience something and say, I know I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And there's real value in that too.
Sure, there is.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I think, in high school, and I really think across the Commonwealth and likely across the country, I think students are getting more and more exposed and have more and more opportunity to really explore things. And I'm really proud of this project and the work that we're doing, but I think it's happening everywhere.
Great. It's just having I've been out of high school 4 decades plus. Hate to say how long, but it's just amazing to see how things have changed, and even changed since my son is 28, and how the state of education has evolved since he was in school.
Yes.
It's just been, it's like it's on hyperspeed, and the opportunities are just tremendous.
Yes, we owe a great deal, and I'll talk about this in my remarks tonight. There's been a real effort through state budgeting. I mean, our General Assembly, the Governor's Office have been very committed to career and technical education, and I've talked about before on this show the $10 million grant that we received that helped make this possible.
Right.
We spent far more than that in a full renovation of a building, but it was a shot in the arm that helped us get those things done.
There's no such thing as a common laborer anymore. That used to be, you think you could do a variety of things. But even if you're a ditch digger, you have to operate a complicated piece of machinery. There's just no such thing as a common laborer anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't seem. I mean, I think about the excavation we've had on our campus, and we'll continue to have some. What you have to be aware of that's going on under the ground that you can't see.
Right.
Even those kinds of, you have to have tremendous skill and knowledge to be able to perform those tasks.
Right.
So yes, I agree.
Yeah. So to me, this Polytechnic Center just really fills a huge need that we have for being able to prepare our students for working in the modern world.
I agree. I'm really proud of it. Really proud.
Well, you mentioned the $10 million grant the city school system received. What's approximate the investment in our city education system does the Polytechnic Center add up to?
Yeah, so the entire project was over $20 million to be able to renovate that space. And we really can add to that the drilling of geothermal wells.
Right.
So that really doesn't include that number. But again, all those are investments that are, future investments, 50 years from now.
Sure.
The Polytechnic Center and current middle school are operating on one well field, geothermal well field right now, and the high school, which I'll talk about this very briefly tonight. We're not done. I mean, we're going to continue moving forward. There's extensive plans for our high school as well, and we'll go as far as we can fiscally do. And we'll be tapping into the well fields for the high school. That's a big part of that project.
Well, that geothermal is such an interesting project to me. I mean, I heard about it when my brother was building his house, and I'm like, geo what? But anyway, for facilities like schools, I mean, it's just a wonderful way to reduce your energy footprint.
Yes.
I mean, you can. It's kind of a no-brainer. If you've got a big project and you've got a parking lot, that's a really great way to deal with your heating and cooling needs.
Yeah, I've shared with my board, and they think the same way. I believe it's my responsibility, because I feel like boards of the past, Ms. Bradford and board members of the past in Bardstown, try to think 50 years from now
Right.
when they're tackling things. and hopefully even beyond that. So the projects and the investments that we make, I think, are very forward thinking, and I'm glad that I'm allowed to be a superintendent at Bardstown, where I have a group of folks that think that way. It's very rewarding work.
Well, the core of the high school, what's that, go back to the 1960 or so?
1958 was
Okay.
when that high, so yeah, nearly 60. So 1958 was the original construction of the high school. There's been some additions.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Yeah, because when my brother was at Bardstown High, they talked about the new and the old, and that's before any of the additions that came after 1972. So the board has done a great job of trying to keep the building updated, and and of course we have the iconic gym.
Yes.
And it's very unique. Have you heard? Is there another gym that was similar to that anywhere in the Commonwealth?
It seems like I've heard of one, but I cannot place it right now. But it is very unique architecture and construction.
Well, it was state of the art and there were teams that came from Louisville down to play in our gym.
Wow. Well, I believe it. I mean, I can only imagine when that gym was opening, much like the Polytechnic Center, how unique and special that is for an independent school district. When things like that gymnasium opened, when it did, it had to get a lot of attention. And I watch my time that on my remarks. When I'm talking tonight, I could probably talk forever about just, again, that innovation and folks thinking ahead, all the programs, investments folks have made in kids.
Bardstown I spoke at our 100th anniversary, and Bardstown has had very few superintendents and very few board members.
Yes.
It's been remarkably stable over those years, and it's because Bardstown takes their education very seriously.
I agree.
And they're willing to invest in it. And that's why I think, that you've got a supportive board, because that's the way it's always been.
Yes. Yes, I think it's very unique.
And an apolitical one.
Right, there's no political agendas.
There's no political agendas there. People take the job on because they want the best for the kids in their town.
Yes.
And they're actually passionate about improving education.
And so, I was on for 34 years, and I never heard the first word of dissension among board members about anything. Now, we may disagree on whether to do this or X or do Y.
Yes.
But it was always whatever is the best for the children. And so it's wonderful to see that carried forward, and I can see that at work, and that is why we are able to have these things.
Yep, I agree.
Well, Ryan, what's the, and I know you're talking about looking down the road at the future. As far as enrollment trends, of course, you're kind of landlocked in the city.
Yeah.
But there still seems to be significant growth that's happening where it can.
Yes.
What do you and the board see for the future? I mean, you're making these investments in education, and I can't help but think that it would attract people from outside the district to be able to take advantage of some of those programs.
Yeah, there's no doubt. We're seeing a healthy and steady increase in enrollment. We haven't really had spikes of enrollment, which for a person in the school business, it does help you react at an appropriate pace. But to that point, the board is very aware of that dynamic, and this renovated old elementary school, now the Polytechnic Center, it also has regular classroom spaces in it.
Okay.
It's going to allow, it really provides a cushion and really even providing spaces that we really needed for a very long time, especially like in our middle school. So we're going to be able to more comfortably grow. Especially after we get the high school work done, we're gonna be, I believe, in a good position. Now that if some huge spike occurred that no one saw coming, who knows? And we definitely see a large enrollment at our new elementary school.
Sure.
It's nearly at the constructed capacity.
Right.
You know how that goes in schools. We
Yeah.
can sometimes go beyond that creatively, but already it's very full, and that does happen. Yeah.
Well, when do you foresee? I mean, I know this is getting off the subject, but when do you foresee work on the high school to begin?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And that enlargement.
Yeah, so work is already happening now. So the board committed to a small first phase of work that's addressing getting the geothermal wells tapped into and pumps in place, getting electrical upgrades done. Most of that is occurring in the basement of what we call A wing. Lots of folks might remember it as the junior high wing.
Right.
That's part of the high school. So that basement has really been taken over for mechanical operations. It's a small footprint of work, but it is a major piece of the puzzle that is already happening. So the way that this project will go, and we'll see how funds turn out, and we'll go as far as we can. Hopefully we can fully complete everything, but we're looking at probably 5 years of continual phases of work, and it's because we have to do the work while we still are in school. And we'll take on different parts of the high school, move people around.
Sure.
It won't be fun because I've just been through it. I mean, the Polytechnic Center was not, it was an inconvenience. Now that you're in it, folks kind of forget that. At least that's what I experience. But we're not done. And I think, progress is messy, and, but we're going to keep plugging ahead.
Now, is the plan for the high school's footprint to make major changes? I mean, you're kind of landlocked there, and if you take parking lot, well, that's valuable parking space and part of the well field on your geothermal.
Right.
I've kind of been surprised over the years how the city schools have done such a great job of it making expansions and still on this same footprint without it making look overcrowded.
Yeah, so I appreciate that question. So the majority of the footprint of the high school will just get repurposed and redone. But there are two major pieces that will change in footprint. One will be kids are transitioning to classes. Right now, kids have to transition outside if they leave any building.
Yeah.
Now they'll all be under roof. So it addresses safety and those kinds of things. But it'll even change kind of where folks come and visit us. The new entrances will be created. New parking will be created, routes into the building. So yeah, that's the plan. We'll see.
All right, we need to take a commercial break. You're listening to Bradford and Brooks and our very special guest, Dr. Ryan Clark, Superintendent of Bardstown City Schools. We've been talking about the ribbon cutting at the City Schools Polytechnic Center, which is tonight or this evening at 5 o'clock. So they've got plenty of room and would welcome any visitors who are curious about all of the additions and the space they've got now for that's long needed.
Yes.
All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Stay tuned. All right, you're back with Bradford and Brooks. Jim Brooks, Margie Bradford with you on this beautiful sunny Wednesday morning here in beautiful downtown Bardstown. And I hope you get a chance to get outside and enjoy some of this weather. It might be a little cool now, but I think it's supposed to warm up as the afternoon goes on. And we're here in the studio with our very special studio guest, Dr. Ryan Clark, Superintendent of Bardstown City Schools. And if you haven't heard, schools are going to have their ribbon cutting for the new Polytechnic Center, which is housed in the former Bardstown Elementary School.
Yes.
And it's been approximately a $20 million project to turn that into instructional space for the for trades and all sorts of a lot of programs and even programs to come. Give us another rundown, Ryan, on the educational opportunities, the pathways, because it's kind of mind blowing to see how education has changed since I was in school.
Yeah, so as I'm running through my list, I'm walking down the hallway. So culinary, or also, I think you could easily say hospitality as well, because there's actually a space adjoining to that. The kids will have the opportunity to work events and learn, serve and that sort of thing. So, which is a tremendous pathway for the part of the state that we live in.
Sure.
It's focused on hospitality and tourism. So as you walk down the hallway, you'll come to our engineering pathway. That we've had engineering for quite some time at the high school, but this new really renovated space is equipped with state-of-the-art equipment where students are using 3D printers, CNC machines. There's also an extension across the hallway where they're learning some advanced manufacturing, working with robotics, and I know for a fact it's really sparked some passion in some kids that pathway. All of them have, but I think of one student right now that comes to mind. As you continue, actually adjoining that space is our new contractor pathway or construction pathway. I say contractor because the instructor we have has multiple certifications. We are so fortunate to have this instructor, and students learn a little bit of plumbing. They're going to learn about electrical. They're going to learn about HVAC, and they're also going to learn some construction.
Oh, wow.
So it's a pathway that it's still in its infancy in terms of thinking about those courses and what kids are going to get exposed to, but they're going to learn about all the trades and many of the trades, and then be able to make those decisions, whether they want to be a general contractor or they are maybe interested in a specific trade and want to get more training.
That is fantastic because now I saw this in my own career. I didn't go to college right out of high school. I went to a vocational electronic training and ended up with an associate's degree, etc. But the schools, of course, was just designed to kind of give you an overview and kind of a wide berth on training in electronics and troubleshooting, and then you could take there were all sorts of pathways that you would be qualified to start, even as a new graduate. And it's just, you weren't limited to one aspect of a trade. You weren't locked into anything. You could really, it was amazing the different avenues you could take because you've got that background and that exposure. And I can see how so many of these students will get the background, and that can, that's just the start. And where they want to take that, they can choose, and that is so empowering.
Well, we were talking about before we came on the show the kids that learn those skills. One, it could lead into a career most definitely, and a lucrative one. But also, if a student took a different path, but they've taken those courses. Right. Think of how empowered they're going to be throughout their lifetime to be able to take on projects and ultimately save themselves a little money. So I think it's a tremendous pathway.
And I think would be important to me as a parent to know the value that exposure gives those kids. Yes. And as an employer, knowing you're hiring a new employee that's had exposure to, just for like in contracting, the trades. Yes. And, we'll be able to talk that language first day.
That's right.
It's just awesome. I can't, I never would have envisioned that high school training would evolve beyond, read chapter 37 for tomorrow's class and, basket weaving or whatever it is. But it's just mind-blowing.
Yeah, I'm so proud of it. So as I continue, thinking in my mind, walking down these hallways, you would soon encounter our district's technology team. Information technology team is actually located right in the middle of the Polytechnic Center, and it's very strategically done because adjoining them is a classroom space that will at some point turn into an IT pathway, and students can take IT courses. We even have areas for mock networking where they can work in a networking closet and be able to work with that kind of equipment. So that we already have students that are interning in that IT department too at the district level. They're repairing Chromebooks. They're learning about networking, on the job. And students are taking some of those courses too in other locations.
Awesome.
That's the next area that you would come to. If you walk on down the hallway and if you walk through there and turn right, you're going to run into our allied health pathway. That is a super popular pathway. Well over 100 students, if not 120 or so that are involved in that pathway. It has tremendous interest, and as a result we have 2 instructors. They're both wonderful, and kids are just thriving in this space. When you walk into the healthcare lab space, it's like walking into a hospital. I mean, you've got a nursing station. You've got various beds with mannequins that are real life size. It's a little eerie to walk in this room when the lights are off because you're seeing looks like people laying in beds. I've done that a few times, and you never get used to it. But for experience, it is kids are learning how to operate the beds, but also taking vitals and getting various certifications. This is a super popular pathway.
Now, have you all had graduates have completed the nursing program, and have they gone on? And of course, the beauty of having these pathways available is, as you said earlier, you can determine where your interests really lie. Because, in a nursing pathway, you may determine there's another part of the medical field that you may want to. My wife's a good example. She had the medical program years ago out at Nelson County Vocational, but that prompted her she had an interest more, not so much in nursing, but as a physical therapist. And so she's been a therapist for, almost 40 years now. And it's been a wonderful career for her and fulfilling. Yes. And if you can do something you like to do, you'll never work a day in your life.
There you go. So I was made aware of a student just recently that is very close to graduating as a nurse from University of Louisville, and this student is excelling with. I would guess, and probably be wrong, there are areas that they also want to specialize in. So I think that what you just said, it has sparked something with that student, I know, and with the instructors that we have, one of the 2, I think this student that's about to graduate from U of L was one of her first students. So we are definitely seeing the fruits of these labors.
Excellent.
Yeah. If I continue down the hall, actually down the hall and up the stairs, because our business pathway is there. So we provide traditional business courses, finance, accounting, those kinds of courses that Bardstown has provided for a very long time. But in addition to that, we have converted the old elementary media center into a space that's really conducive for kids learning about marketing, graphic design, and adjacent to that space, or within the same area, we have a state-of-the-art studio. The kids learn about production, editing, creating their own videos, and I've just seen the kids I've worked with some of those kiddos doing some recordings myself, and they're just so skilled, and I think they're on fire. They will definitely seek out that kind of career as they grow up. I don't have any doubt.
Well, and I've never ceased to be amazed, and I remember when my kids were of high school and school age, how quickly, if you have students who are interested in a field or a career or a topic, how they soak it up, and it becomes part of who they are.
Yes.
And that's as a parent, that is super fulfilling. Just to see your kids, want to excel at something and soak in all they can.
Yes, it is special, and I'm so fortunate. I mean, I get to live in that environment on a regular basis. I don't see it as closely as our teachers and our school administrators, but I stay in touch and in tune with how students are doing, and I think that's definitely happening. Kids are finding passions, or like I've mentioned before, they may find something that I know that's not something I want to do, so I'm going to choose something different, which is real value in that.
Absolutely. Well, is there more going on down your walk through the Polytechnic Center, additional areas
Well, so these are not classroom space. Well, there's some extra classroom spaces too upstairs, but downstairs it is definitely worth mentioning a much improved health clinic. So Bardstown, under Miss Bradford's leadership years ago, embarked on providing health care at school for students that need it. And we have, that has continued, and now we have a space that really is like a doctor's office. Multiple areas with beds where kids can get exams. We have an on-site nurse practitioner, a couple of nurses, and that's the district location that any one of our students or their families can come and visit. So that is, I'm proud of that, and that was just another part of this renovation. And then next to that is our youth service center that serves families in the middle school and high school. And they have spaces for clothing and food and other needs that students have. It's a one-stop shop for
the Frisky.
Yes. So
that's a wonderful program.
Yeah. So they're in there able to take care of families and support students as they encounter barriers to learning. So those are worth mentioning. Upstairs we have all the classroom spaces, many of the classroom spaces that we've been desperately needing. So we have various content taught on the second floor: social studies, mathematics, Spanish. The entire 8th grade is located in a hallway too, and so it also is helping us with just desperately needed spaces that we've been. I don't want to say we've been teaching out of closets, but we've been using every space, and we finally have a little bit of room to stretch our legs. Right.
Well, that's fantastic. That because it always and this a recurring theme has seemed to be with the city school system is having sufficient instructional space sometimes, and you have to make do with with your limitations.
That's right.
And I think city school systems always has been creative problem solvers when it comes to finding sufficient space.
Yeah, I see that too. I appreciate that comment. I think there's been a lot of effort over many, many decades of making sure that we have the space that we need for students.
Anything down the road as far as additions? I mean, you mentioned was the IT. What about any other pathways on the possible horizon that you can mention? We dabble in ideas.
beyond IT, we don't really have any solid plans. We continue to partner with Nelson County and their newly or soon-to-be renovated Up Center. Students getting access to welding, automotive. Currently, IT is out there too. We also have the Bluegrass Aviation Experience at the airport. Students that want to learn about aviation on a grand scale, where they're actually building an airplane. Students are learning to fly an airplane. If folks don't know about the many opportunities kids have in this community, we are so fortunate and blessed to have what we have. So I'm really proud of, and we've talked about it before, if I were 14 or 15 years old again, who knows, what I might jump into with both feet.
Right. I would be torn between the media and the aviation program, because when I was in high school, and I'd started years earlier, I built model airplanes and flew them, and I did my first term paper in high school on airfoils, and the airflow over wings and how that creates lift and all that geeky science stuff. But I was ate up with it. It was just part of who I was, and I still enjoy aviation. It's just not wasn't a career I could. Unfortunately, was not a career I could follow. But if I was 14 again, who knows? I'd be much more immersed in it. I'll tell you that.
We are just so fortunate, and kids are so fortunate to have those opportunities now.
Well, we're just about down to the wire, Ryan. Tell us, give us another rundown on time, place, and what people can expect to see during their tour of the Polytechnic Center.
So our ribbon cutting event, doors open at 5 p.m. We'll actually start the program at 5:15. Folks will come in and come into the renovated gymnasium, which we now call multi-purpose space or an event space. And we'll have some remarks there and ribbon cutting. We're hoping that'll be between 25 and 30 minutes. We have a lot to say, and we're trying to watch our time. But there's a lot we are celebrating, so we're trying to keep it reasonable. And then after that, folks are going to be encouraged to tour. We're going to have teachers and students in the various pathway classrooms, and people that visit will get to talk to them, see what kids are learning, see the equipment, see the space, and I think that'll go on until the event. Until the last person leaves.
I can imagine that the business community and industry would enjoy taking a tour of and seeing what's there.
So the chamber, the Bardstown Nelson County Chamber of Commerce is actually having their Connect event tonight too, and they've invited their members to come to this. So
that's awesome.
It was just again all the planning, and I'm so glad that worked out the way it did.
That's great. Well, Dr. Clark, we're just about down to the wire. I want to thank you so much, and the Polytechnic Center has been a kind of a dream in the making for some time.
Yes.
And thankfully, you've got a good board that's stood behind this dream, and it's a wonderful repurposing of an existing building.
It is.
And just the addition of all the programs is amazing.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you again for coming on. And Margie, as always, thank you for sharing the studio with me. All right.
My pleasure.
Margie and I will be back next Wednesday with another Bradford and Brooks. So until then, get out and enjoy the weather, and we'll see you next week. Have a great week.